SpongeBob's Truth or Square, the video game that lets one revisit SpongeBob's happiest moments from his first 10 years. From creating Spongehenge, feeding his first customers, and the golden spatula, which only the true fry cook can free from the grease. All to remember where he lost the Krabby Patty secret formula. Although this was fun, people want to live those moments fast and furiously. Through exploitations, combat abuse, geography, and level skip glitches. This is the history of dedicated gamers who came together to beat the game as fast as possible by using everything, and I mean everything the game had to offer. This is the complete speedrun history of SpongeBob's Truth or Square. The game was released for the Nintendo Wii, Xbox 360, Nintendo DS, and the PlayStation Portable. The Wii and 360 are very similar to each other, with the 360 having upgraded graphics. While the PSP has nearly the same little layout but different gameplay physics, the DS is nearly a completely different game along with extra levels which were also included in the PSP releases. We are going to be covering the most popular versions of the game, the Wii and 360. The journey begins in 2012, with SpongeBob Truth or Square for the Wii. The runner must get to the end of the game as fast as possible without the use of the cheat phone. This is done by collecting the happiness object located at the end of each level, allowing SpongeBob to proceed to the next level until the final boss fight. In the early days of SpongeBob's Truth or Square, there was not much of a speedrunning scene. There were a few ones, but none of them were optimized, did not include many interesting speedrun strategies, and unfortunately most were never recorded. The first runner who took SpongeBob's Truth or Square seriously was Coel Elroliai. Coel was one of the earliest speedrunners and glitch hunters of numerous SpongeBob games including SpongeBob Squarepants Battle for the Bikini Bottom, Creature from the Krusty Krab, and of course, SpongeBob's Truth or Square. Before the first run and even after, Coel would post glitch compilations of many speedrun strategies, of which many would be expanded upon many years later. On October 16th, 2012, Coel combined many of these strategies and applied them to his first single segmented speedrun, thus being the first serious run of SpongeBob Truth or Square for the Nintendo Wii console. The timer starts on the Wii Remote warning screen before creating a new save file, talking to Patrick, and being sent off to beautiful jellyfish fields. In this level, SpongeBob's only power-up is the Spatula Slayer. Coel starts by destroying the 4 required robots one by one to get his first key to free the captured jellyfish. In the following area, Coel takes out the next set of robots to gain access to this button, which he will not be pressing. Instead, Coel performs a precise spaced-out double jump over the gap with the help of the hint snail, and activates the later button. If SpongeBob doesn't explode the cage with the key, the other button will remain disabled, so it's kind of like a safety check to make sure the player isn't doing, let's say, anything questionable. Continuing past the river, we reach another Save the Jellyfish puzzle where SpongeBob would normally have to guide the fish to free another set of jellyfish. But Coel has better ideas. By nudging this battle to the right spot, it is possible to bypass the entire fist chase, saving roughly 45 seconds. Coel collects the buff power-up, which allows SpongeBob to grow his muscles, unlike that one time in Goo Lagoon. This power-up enables Spongebob to destroy robots in 1 or 2 hits and allow his spin attack to last a lot longer, and gives him a wider field of attack. Then it is off to Battle 2, a trick that will live in infamy of being the #1 run killer. Battle 2 is more difficult since it has to be standing upright along with moving it towards the much taller ledge. Hence the reason why Coel struggled a little bit on this leap. There is also an easier way to do this part fast, but it is slightly slower, as you can see. Moving along, Coel jumps onto the jelly railing and jumps down to the lower portion of the jelly slide, skipping the entire spiral. At the base, Coel grabs the Patrick power-up and begins hammering robots, all 25 of them to be exact, to reveal the level's end level happiness object. The object, Spongebob needs to remember where he lost the Krabby Patty secret formula and signals the end of the level. After the completion of each level, Spongebob is sent back to the hub, or in this case the pineapple, where he can talk to the next person with yellow exclamation point. In the next level, Kelp Forest, Spongebob unlocks the Spin Slap, which allows him to spin or to do whatever this is. This upgrade is used to damage enemies and to spin the flippers. In the first area, Coel does something called a hammer boost. If Spongebob jumps while the hammer is swinging in mid-air, it is possible to gain just enough extra height to reach the ledge, allowing him to skip the combat and the timer challenge that would have followed. In the next arena, our favorite sponge destroys 5 hammer bots, but in a separate video, Coel shows off that it is possible to skip this fight as well with a similar style hammer boost. But it is much harder because how significantly higher the ledge is. Instead, Coel is already exploring the spin slap, a popular toss strategy called spin hopping or spin boosting. If Spongebob jumps and spins just before he gets hit, he will get a reflection and will be deflected upwards, allowing him to gain massive height. Further into the stage, Coel collects a square buff power, which is needed to be able to slam this heavy pressure plate. Instead of using the triple flippers, Coel performs a higher spin boost and say hello to Ghost Sandy, rapidly punching a clam. After the fight with the first big hammer bot, Spongebob reaches the bathroom arena. Forget about taking out the bathroom spawners like normal, he waits for the spin bot to reach the flippers early. Coel did struggle a little to avoid getting hit by the hammers. After almost jumping over the gate, with style, we reach the plant trap minefield, where you want to stay clear of all the plants as well as the Sandy power-up. Oh gosh. Please don't touch this! After another spin boost, we approach the Kelp's Forest boss fight. But there is one very important thing I forgot to mention. If Spongebob gets damaged at all, he will lose square buff and become a sad little weak sponge again. Coel made sure he did not get hit so Spongebob could 2-cycle the level's boss, since square buff deals 2 hits of damage instead of just 1. After the boss explodes, Spongebob receives the level's happiness object, a tea mug. After this, it is Rural Patrick, a boss level. Coel must get buff pants and unbuckle Patrick's belt and hit his target, located... well, I should not say. But after doing that, Rural Pat will send some robots to attack you, and Spongebob will have to do that for 2 phases. After grabbing the chili dog, it is time to become fry cooks. After some long and boring bus rides, and with the cannon unlocked, Coel uses these deflectors to jump over a bus carrying a very tall invisible wall. Coel continues down the cave and inflates the sponge. Coel uses the geometry to jump over another bus carrying another tall invisible wall. To set this up, Coel stands on this pressure plate and hits the deflectors, which will hit the target. The reflectors will stay down, allowing Spongebob to use them as platforms to reach the lamppost. This completely bypasses having to inflate all the other sponges and spinning the water wheel. After a minor timer challenge skip, Spongebob fires his wall cannon to reveal the golden spatula. Ooh. Ho ho ho. The freezer is where the speedrun goes into overdrive. Only 30 seconds into this level, Coel does a huge speedrun tactic. By jumping onto this stack of ice cubes, then jumping onto the red steam pipes allows Spongebob to reach the hallway ceiling. Jumping on this door allows the player to escape the main gameplay area and go out of bounds. Out of bounds are areas in the game where the player is never supposed to be. While out here, the runner guides Spongebob on the outer perimeter of the level, navigating his way back to the start. He eventually jumps down and grabs 3 items under the stage. A closer look reveals that these collectibles are similar to items that Spongebob grabbed earlier because they are happiness objects. We will take a closer look at out of bounds happiness objects later, but collecting these allows for early completion of the level, saving well over 4 to 5 minutes at the time, compared to doing this level normally. But this is nothing compared to what is coming up next. Next level is Mama Layer, the layer for our favorite superheroes. At the start of the level, Spongebob immediately turns around and jumps onto the rock icicle and proceeds to jump onto the doorway before he jumps out of bounds. While falling into the void, a cutscene activates, followed by the stat screen, signifying the completion of Mama Layer with nothing collected. This seemingly out of nowhere trick is known as Mama Layer Skip, a simple trick that not only allows you to beat this level in under 10 seconds, but allows the runner to complete future levels when the player selects the same level and does the same trick again. In the run, the trick was performed numerous times to skip Mama Layer, Robo Squid, Rock Bottom, and twice to skip Crawley Island, before making his way to the final boss. This trick may seem like it's out of nowhere, however, there is a very simple explanation of why this happens. Throughout the game, previous Spongebob titles and other heavy iron titles, there are debug triggers and test triggers located all over, normally outside of the player's reach. If activated, these triggers could do all types of things, like activating a cutscene, opening a door, playing unused animations, and so on. In this case, Coel landed on a trigger behind the door, which activates the ending cutscene for Mama Layer and results in instant completion, all without having to grab any happiness objects throughout the skipped levels. You might be wondering, why is Mama Layer Skip performed twice to skip Crawley Island? It is believed skipping levels like this takes into account the unused levels. There were levels that were cut from the game and are only present on the PSP and DS releases, which would be the Krusty Krab in this case. In fact, if we take the time to look around during this mysterious attempt just before unlocking the final boss. So first of all, Spongebob spawned in the corner, which is not usual, and you can see there's actually an invisible character or some types of text box there which you can activate, which does really nothing. Patrick still gives you coins like usual. I don't know why Patrick is still there, maybe that's a precursor to the fellow boss. You can still click items or coins and upgrade some stuff. You can see Crawley Island is unlocked, but not the final boss fight. You can still enter Crawley Island by speaking to an invisible Sandy Cheeks. This trick was so massive that it was easily the biggest known skip in Spongebob speedrunning before the release of Battle for the Bikini Bottom Rehydrated in mid-2020. Involving a cutscene trigger behind this door, literally unlocks levels by beating the same level multiple times. From there, we enter the final boss fight, where we get to face off against Plankton himself. Well, not really. Spongebob needs to chase down RoboPlankton for 3 phases and do fights along the way. At the end of each phase, one must destroy all these generators and attack the core at the end of each phase. After hitting the core for the last time, Coel's run is completed in 34 minutes and 39 seconds, making it the first run of Spongebob's Truth or Square to gain massive attention. And for a side note, There was an earlier one that Coel did, but the footage is clearly not available and was an unoptimized version of this one, which included most of the same techniques as seen in this one, and the audio was muted throughout the entire run. On February 14th, 2016, Sandmanfan, back then RNJ Creations, did the first run of SpongeBob's Truth or Square on the Xbox 360. At the time of this run, the rules were changed where the timer started when creating a new save file and ended when laying the final hit on the core. The Xbox 360 was by far a better console to speedrun on because of the faster load times in between each stage. A load screen on 360 is usually around 5 to 10 seconds faster depending on which level you are entering or exiting, which can make a big difference since there are 2 load screens per stage, and more than 10 of them when doing Mumler Skip. The run falls onto similar lines to Coel's run with a few optimizations. In the second area of Jellyfish Fields, Sandmanfan performed a hit on 2 robots in one attack, dealing damage to both robots instead of taking them out one by one, taking full advantage of the spatula's damage radius. In Kelp Forest, while above, it was figured out that Spongebob moves a tiny bit faster when spin hopping. By the end, Sandmanfan was able to beat the entire game in 31 minutes and 7 seconds, a all-new world record, and the first on Xbox 360. In May of 2017, Jaxler did his very first completed run of SpongeBob Truth or Square on the Nintendo Wii, beating it in 42 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yes! Woo!
From there, he would only keep grinding and improving upon his previous strategies and applying new ones. Right after the switch to Xbox 360, Jaxler was able to instantly claim world record on November 29th of 2017. With carefully timed double enemy hits and a great battle setup, Jaxler was able to beat JF in under 4 minutes and 50 seconds. In Kelp, spin hopping was taken to a whole other level, with spin hopping being done as soon as SpongeBob touches the ground, even spinning vigorously throughout the plant mine trap. After a shaky end to Fry Cook, Jaxler made it all up with a speedy outbound navigation and only grabbing the bottom collectible, which saves having to spam through 2 text boxes. In Mumler, Xbox load time saved well over 40 seconds. With that, Jaxler was able to hit the core and got a time of 30 minutes and 25 seconds, beating his old Wii PB by over a minute. A all-new world record. Around this time, in August of 2017, Jaxler submitted his first speedrun of SpongeBob Truth or Square 100%, which requires the runner to not only beat the game, but to also grab all happiness objects, all concept arts, and touch all sleeping Patricks. Yes, I am not kidding. And by August 14th, Jaxler would launch and grind all happiness objects. From there, Jaxler would be heavily involved in the Truth or Square community, getting the gang into numerous speedrun marathons, like Valuethon 4 in 2018, Midwest Speedfest in 2021, Power Up with Pride, along with many more. Jaxler's dream was to get SpongeBob Truth or Square into Awesome Games Done Quick, the most popular speedrun marathon ever, often raising millions of dollars in donations. Jaxler would also make tutorials and stream runs of the game to expand the Truth or Square community. In February of 2018, Jaxler would restart his grind to push for a 29. By stalling to get the robots together for a single hit and a strategic double kill on both sets of robots, with shockingly fast Battle 1 and Battle 2 setups, Jaxler was getting very consistent with early game, often getting a sub 440 out of Jellyfish Fields. With the recent discovery of Turb Skip found by ZuzurRuns, followed by a not so bad barrel jump to get to the deflectors even faster. After making a hard dropping frightening mistake by getting hit and losing buff, Jaxler was still able to pull it together and come out with a time of a 29:39, destroying sub 30 and making this a all new world record. But that is not where it all ends. With many mistakes in his 29:39, Jaxler knew he could improve by cleaning up some strategies and be more confident in his performances. I want to mention that it was at this point that there was a rare chance that Spongebob can clip through the wall while performing hammer boosting. Smileyshirt was able to get this as shown here, conveniently on April 1st, 2018.
Oh, yes! I needed that. Yeah! Let's go. Yes!
With sharper gameplay and very few blunders, Jaxler was able to get a 28:59.
Yes!
The first 28 and a all new world record. In September of 2018, a new shooter square speedrunner, ExoticSponge, back then known as Dave McClain, proposed a brand new category called No Level Skips, which later be renamed Any % No Level Skip Glitch, or No LSG for short. This category requires the happiness object to be collected the intended way in their chest, which means no Santa skip. There are also no ending the levels early by a debug trigger like Mummilair skip. This category was created so runners can experience the later levels and get rid of the repetitiveness of Mummilair skip. One of the earliest runs was by ExoticSponge, completed in 1 hour, 23 minutes and 32 seconds. The run starts with performing many of the known 80% strategies, including slide skip and burst jumps. The 80% route diverts in Santa. Sponge starts the run by blowing himself up with bombs to destroy the huge ice cubes quickly, and dodging the freezer's state-of-the-art security systems. By the end, Exotics fights the Tenderizer boss, which goes by much faster if the buff power-up is held on until the end. The next level, Mummilair, starts casually, destroying 9 enemies to unlock this door and some difficult platforming until this room. This room is entirely skippable by jumping up the slope, which skips the fight and bypasses the explosive tiki platforms. Exotic is forced to use the Sandy power-up to free buttons hidden under the plant traps, making this one the only times one will see this power-up in shooter square speedrunning. At the end, keeping the buff was important for the fight on the clogs and at the very end, something that Sponge failed to do miserably. After the tile timer area and following this fight without buff, Spongebob collects the conch shell and also ends up dying in this fight as well. RIP. The once previously skipped Robo-Squidward boss fight level was now finally alive and well and ready to be beaten fast. To defeat the boss, Spongebob must get into the dirty gum, preferably as buff pants, to lay hits on Robo-Squidward with bulb target. This must be repeated for 3 phases, and the gumball platform rotates to the opposite side of the arena for the last 2 phases. The one skip in Robo-Squidward is to get into the gumball before the platform takes off. However, it only works at the start of the third phase as it gets a head start at the beginning of the second phase. Also, it hopes that Spongebob does not get damaged while in the gum, allowing for runners to turn off these powerful water geysers. After Spongebob steals Squidward's first yummy Krabby Patty, we are sent off to rock bottom to remember the great times working 24-hour shifts at the Krusty Krab restaurant. Inside the monster's mouth, Exotic skips one of these mandatory fights with a well-timed jump onto the bonus 3 lives platform. In the following room, during the acid reveals a heavy pressure plate which Spongebob presses to take out the monster's teeth. With 2 very spaced out jumps between the geometry, skips having to rise up the acid, which would be the normal way of getting up there. Much deeper into rock bottom, Spongebob loses his buff by this very mean drill guy, but does a spin boost, skipping, having to inflate these sponges. After the eel crashes into this platform for no apparent reason, Spongebob uses it to reach this island and triggers an unskippable cutscene. Then, Exotic goes against the wall to perform a spin boost to reach the target early, without having to blow up this structure. Following hitting this button, the Squidward power-up is grabbed to destroy how many robots he can before having to go to each of them one by one. After all is clear, Spongebob gets the 24-hour sign and moves on to the next level.
24 hours.
Lastly, the no LSG diversion ends in Crawley Island. In the Sandy Bomb area trials, Exotic jumps onto this rock and blows up the pile of explosive tikis to knock down the ship, which in turn dumps out crates for Spongebob to use as platforms, saving over 30 seconds. On the island with the red pedestal, it is possible to skip this by simply jumping onto the bamboo fence and jumping towards the jellyfish, which is just in jumping range. Next up is the tedious boat ride. There is nothing interesting about this part. After departing the boat, the runner does simple platforming up to probably the worst and one of the longest bosses in SpongeBob speedrunning, since one must fight through 6 phases of this fight, as Sandy stands there and watches. And it's even more fun when the boss does this. After nearly 3 minutes of fighting, we reach the final boss fight, and as mentioned before, it is exactly the same as any percent. With a sloppy first run saw a time of 1 hour, 13 minutes and 21 seconds. The very first run of no LSG on the Nintendo Wii. Jaxler would come in and give this category the glitch hunting treatment that it deserves. With new speedrun techniques which many would be borrowed from 100%, in Sienta, Jaxler went out of bounds similar to what any percent runners did, but instead of grabbing the out of bounds happiness objects, he proceeded to jump onto this crate and went behind this door, followed by a jump to the cage and then to the security lasers, already skipping 70% of the level. He proceeds to scale the security vault doors to get on top of the final hallway in the level before grabbing the save point and death warping. It took Jaxler only 2 attempts to get this out of bounds successfully. This would take him to the gum room and straight to the Tenderizer boss fight. Marmalea was mostly the same as Exotic's run, with some great action and better confidence. Jaxler, however, was able to keep up until the very end, allowing for faster combat in the cog area and the final fight. In Rock Bottom, Jaxler attempted a trick that would skip all this jelly, but ended up falling off the crates instead. However, Jaxler was able to more than make up for it by keeping buff pants until the very last fight, enabling him to destroy the robots very fast. Even with buff, it is important to grab the Squidward shot power-up to take down robots from a great distance. There may be faster ways to do this part without Squid, but this was what was done at the time. With no serious new speedrun strategy that stood out in Crawley Island, Jaxler was able to complete this entire run in just under 60 minutes, the first run on the Xbox 360 console. Not too long following this run, Jaxler would get another PP of a 5704 by primarily cleaning up the movement and polishing out speedrun strategies. In late September 2018, Jaxler organized a big stream featuring Spongebob Truth or Square. Following a series of hints, the big stream is going to show off what has never been seen before. Spongebob starts by heading straight to the jellyfish gate, where one would normally free the jellyfish. Spongebob starts by jumping onto the T key and proceeds to jump again and then go towards the right, ending up out of bounds behind the fence. This is an add-on to an out of bounds area Coel showed off in 2012, which results in Spongebob falling into the void below. He continues to navigate his way towards the start of the level. Right after the teleportation box, he jumps into the void and grabs 3 items to activate a rainbow animation before reaching the death barrier. As you may have noticed, Jaxler collected the level's 3 happiness objects, located just under the starting point of the level. However, the unfortunate difference is Spongebob reached the death barrier before the cutscene and animation could finish. If you do not reach the stats screen before voting out, the level becomes mostly unbeatable since the chest is replaced with the blue portal, upon normal completion impeding your story progression. This was unlike Santa Skip, where one can skip through all the dialogue, bring up the stats screen before Spongebob voids out. Because of this, the trick was only useful in all happiness objects and possibly Hundo. That was not the only trick revealed at the big stream. A way to skip the majority of Koi Island was found only days before the big stream. At the start of the level, Sponge lures the robot near this rock, then casually makes his way over to the Sandy Bomb trials. Spongebob jumps onto the fence and the statue before making his way out of bounds, building upon one of Coel's tricks which was found all those years ago. He proceeds to go backwards towards the start of the level. Once Spongebob made his way to the entrance of the cave, he performed a spin boost to reach the ceiling, and this explains perfectly why the setup at the start of the level may have been necessary. In conclusion, this trick bypasses the majority of Koi Island, saving massive time in no LSG and most other categories. But there is one big roadblock: the spin boost. Not only that it takes a while to set up, but it could also be a difficult strategy to pull off. The trick was located near the end of the run, so pulling off a trick like this was not totally ideal. But shortly after the big stream,
Oh my gosh! How did I do that? Oh, oh my gosh! You can just jump up here! Yes! Yes! Oh!
this roadblock ended up being patched in celebration. Just before Halloween of October 28th, 2018, Smileyshirt did a max percent speedrun. Along with grabbing all the 100% collectibles, the runner must collect around 31,000 happiness nuggets to upgrade everything inside Spongebob's pineapple, including fully upgrading his health, all costumes, and all the furniture. Unfortunately, Spongebob's Shooter Square did not have an infinite nugget trick, so Smiley played through the levels casually collecting nuggets along the way, including replaying many levels.
Nothing I appreciate more than a good round of SpongeBob's Truth or Square. Who cares? No matter what I do, this is world record pace. Although, you know, I feel like just for my own entertainment, I'm not gonna do that for the majority of grinding, just because that would be really painful just to do that for so long. Yeah, it is a good idea. It's smart. 2,000 coins. Alright, we're getting there. And we're not even like past the second split, so maybe this won't be that bad after all. Yeah, I see what you mean. There are flying green fairies everywhere. I'm pretty sure that's the Flying Dutchman. Wait, what the heck? Look at the counter. It's counting robots, and yet I'm not getting robots. What's going on? What is this? Alright, well that was weird. Or some water. I'm in need of nourishment right now. Looking for this. Although why would a normal person want to play this run? This is like the worst category. Dude! Now only... Okay. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. This is it. That was the most satisfying thing I've ever done. That's not... That's also a... Okay, well... That's what I get for assuming. Toilet upgrade. What? I don't have enough? Oh no. Something has gone terribly wrong. Oh no. It's okay. Back to the grind. That was... Man, that sucked. That was horrible. Why did that have to happen? But I'm close. I'm really close, I think. Touch it. So that means all I need is... It's over. It is complete.
In a future max percent speedrun in October of 2021, ExoticSponge did a infinite nugget farm in Footagw. First, he would grab the save point, do top skip to avoid having to inflate the sponge, land on these explosive tikis which give Spongebob truckloads of nuggets, and then die, thus being sent back to crabs and respawning all the tikis. Although efficient, this farm does require losing a life per attempt, so it was important for Exotic to collect lives along the way. From this farm, one can get around 180 nuggets every 30 seconds. By the end, ExoticSponge was able to beat max percent in 3 hours and 2 minutes. After collecting enough nuggets, Smiley went and purchased everything but fell short and was not able to upgrade the filthy toilet, making Smiley go back to Jellyfish Fields to grind for extra nuggets. After that, Smileyshirt was able to upgrade the toilet and complete a fully completed file of Smileyshirt Square in 5 hours and 11 minutes and 6 seconds for the very first time in speedrunning history and a all-new world record. One interesting thing is even though you need around 31,000 nuggets, the game does not let you hold on to any more than 30,000 nuggets, which is very weird and perfectly sums up this category. So I think this clip recaps max percent perfectly.
Wait, you upgrade the bowl by putting food in it and then he poops on his bed. And then they make you upgrade it to get rid of the poop? Yeah. I can't even, like, the disc won't even break, man.
October would also pave the way for a brand new but yet very funny skip that activates the self-destruct switch for the Tenderizer boss fight found by Cube. This seemingly random trick works because of a debugged death trigger located near the ceiling of the Tenderizer arena. By using the knockback that one usually gets when the boss slams his hammers, it is possible to gain just enough height to reach the boss of the destruct switch. Another major trick that was in active development was another version of Murmler skip, in this case, the no LG way, since the traditional Murmler skip is not allowed.
Alright, so you start off by going back and you do the same Murmler out of bounds, just like this, but you want to get on top of here, or you can just jump to the right and you want to go out of bounds this way. So you want to make sure you jump over the cutscene trigger. And then follow along as I do, along the seam. Don't jump out too far to the left or else the collision will unload and you'll fall to your death. Kind of grisly. Get on top of this rock. And then you basically, to this giant rock pillar, you're gonna jump towards it and hold forward, and you should clip through to the other side, so like this. And it should put you right here. Kind of more consistent to do it from here. You basically double jump and spin at max height, and it puts you up here. Once you get up here, get to this light blue pipe, and when you clip inside it, so it'll look like this. So you basically get up on here. Yeah, okay, you basically just jump to the right once you get up to the high platform, so it should look like this. And you can literally just jump to the top of here. Right about here. Oh, I guess you can only do that on Wii. And what it should do is you should hit a cutscene loading checkpoint trigger, and you're in bounds, and you're good to go.
The reason why you can skip many of these levels like this is because the start of the level is geographically in close proximity to the end, usually only blocked by a wall. In Koala Island, the starting point is here, and the treehouse is where the level's boss fight takes place. Even in Footagw, just beyond this piece of land is where the fight takes place with the Squidward power-up. This is not true for levels like Jellyfish Fields, Kelp Forest, where there is less of a loop. Armed with all this newfound knowledge, on October 28th, Jaxler was able to put all of this together and gain a massive no LSG world record.
Yeah, Tetrax, it's pretty f***ing broken. We literally just found a mid-boss insta-kill like the ones in battle. It's so sick. Jeez f***ing Louise. Yes! Thank you, game. What are you Yes! 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 Yes, I got the sub 46. Yes! Yes!
An all new world record. Jaxler is a very well-known speedrunner of Battle for the Bikini Bottom. He was also known for running Mario Kart Double Dash and a multi-game speedrun category, Heavy Iron Percent. As mentioned before, while hammer boosting, it is possible to occasionally clip out of bounds. All players knew that the clip involved Spongebob jumping against the wall as the hammer bots tried to attack him. Then, Spongebob would somehow get knocked through the wall directly after getting hit by the hammer. Together with Jaxler in December 2018, they were painstakingly trying to figure out how to do this clip out of bounds consistently, and make it a valuable RTA strategy. While playing around with this theory, Jaxler was able to get the clip with a particular setup. While out of bounds, Spongebob can't walk back in bounds since the wall is solid on both sides. Getting back in bounds is going to be a challenge. However, Jaxler was able to conquer that by going through this save point and then losing a life to make Spongebob spawn back in bounds much later into the level. Despite getting this trick to work, getting the clip itself was going to be the ultimate challenge. Sometime later, Jaxler was able to find a semi-consistent setup which was nicknamed the Jack Juke. With this complicated setup, clip out of bounds was becoming more RTA realistic. He even made a tutorial guide on this topic. Even then, he was able to get it way more consistent than anyone else. On December 15th, Jaxler was able to pop Jaxler with this newfound trick. Jaxler was able to sneak in and snipe the 80% world record just before the end of 2018 with a 28:46, a all-new world record. Jaxler record was short-lived. Jaxler was able to get another world record with a 28:02 with the help of Koberuns bounce, followed by a no LSG record with a newer but significantly slower Koberuns bounce. Although this version of the trick may be slower, since SpongeBob now has to go around the entire stage, it was significantly easier to set up. This version of Koberuns bounce was found by Smileyshirt, which found many of the hammer clips in this game. One of Smiley's flagship hammer clips was a hammer clip further into Kelp Forest, nicknamed Eric Andre Skip. In February, Smileyshirt showed off by doing this precise movement. It was possible to clip out of bounds with the assistance of hammer bots. The setup makes the hammer bot not too far, but also not too close so SpongeBob can push through. Because of this trick, runners can bypass this fight and the hallway that follows, saving roughly 15 to 20 seconds. Although hammer clipping is not 100% figured out, hammer clips work by getting hit by the hammer by the initial knockback that SpongeBob receives by getting damaged. The game tries to push SpongeBob outwards, but because SpongeBob is against a wall, the game will simply ignore the wall and teleport SpongeBob beyond it from the pushback from the hammers. Hammer clips in general is the least consistent trick in the game, with setups being completely different and plays a massive role in the 100% category. Hammer tricks will always continue to be a staple in SpongeBob Truth or Square, and around February, No Level Skip was officially renamed to 80% No LSG, or No LSG for short, which stands for 80% No Level Skip Glitch. Overall, 2019 was a very light year for SpongeBob Truth or Square speedrunning, but in August, Jaxler was about to make his comeback.
That might be world record. Let's go. Let's go. Oh my god. Finally got it. I honestly had no faith in that RyMoPlankton after phase 1, but I just was like hoping that it might be enough, and it was, so
A all-new world record. On November of 2019, Hoongoons introduced debug mode, which allowed us to fly everywhere to find other triggers that the game might be concealing. With debug mode, it was found that there is a end of the level trigger behind this magma fall in rock bottom. There was also a lot of other interesting objects, triggers, items, and overall oddities found with debug mode. He even made a theoretical way to beat Truth or Square video. Ever wonder what those yellow things in the background did? That is what this video explained. In December of 2019, Cube and Jaxler theorized a way to grab the out-of-bounds happiness objects in Frycook. From testing with debug mode, reaching the happiness object does result in completion of the stage, but unlike in Santa and Jellyfish Fields, there's virtually no magnetic effect, so Spongebob was unable to reach them. On October of 2019, ExoticSponge found an easier method to do the no-LG version of Murmillo Skip. Instead of rough and difficult platforming, from jumping down from the top of the door, it was possible to stand on the ledge of this floor plane, jump towards the last timer challenge of the level, but the wall keeps Spongebob from reaching that platform. But it was possible to jump and activate a save point, so when Spongebob dies, he spawns in the final room in Murmillo, roughly 8 seconds slower than the other method, but would make the category much more beginner friendly. At the start of 2020, ExoticSponge was grinding for the first ever sub 30 on the Wii, long after beating the previous world record on the Wii set back in 2018 by Jaxler. What made Exotic's reruns interesting was that it included an entirely different way to clip out of bounds at the start of Kelp Forest. This is the fastest known way to do clip out of bounds, since Spongebob hardly had to stop moving in a straight line to get out. If it was not for this clip, a sub 30 on Wii would have required a lot more effort. This trick is very easy on Wii, but it is near impossible on 360, even with many attempts to find consistency. Hammer clipping seemed to be an RTA reliable strategy exclusive to Wii.
$29.47, no way, I got a PB in the commentary run. And my first commentary, I got a PB and a world record on Wii. Wow.
It is safe to say that hammer clips are far more consistent on Wii, but that is not entirely the case, because on March 25th, Exotic released a bombshell in this IL of Karate Island. He found a way to skip all of Karate Island with a hammer clip. This clip alone saves nearly 2 minutes, since runners no longer had to backtrack to this point of the level when performing the previous known way to skip most of Karate Island. After the clip, Spongebob hops onto the ceiling and jumps to the last hallway in the cave before the jellyfish jumps into the treehouse. This trick alone is so massive that it rivals the PSP version of Karate Island skip. The ironic part is that it is really difficult to get successfully on Wii. As shown here by Jaxler, the 360 was considerably more easier. There were in fact 2 setups to clip out: the slower and less RNG dependent method, the faster and more RNG dependent method. Kelp, out of bounds, and Karate Island clips both proved that hammer clips could be harder or easier depending on what type of clip it is, and dependent on which version.
Dude, come on!
This is only more true in the 100% category. On June 20th, Jaxler was able to shave off 10 seconds with a slightly more optimized Murmillo skip, which was later expanded upon by Jaxler. Completely bypasses the very difficult jump and by far makes it the fastest way to complete Murmillo without the out of bounds trigger. With a faster way to do Murmillo skip and a way to nearly entirely skip one of the longest levels in the game, Jaxler was able to get to a world record on June with a 43:36, a all new world record.
There's your 43.
On July 2020, the biggest skip since the Coel era was about to be revealed. A speedrunner known as Wurtweakle found the holy grail of skips, which would change SpongeBob's Truth or Square speedrunning forever.
Here's what you do. go in Jellyfish Field and get fucked, you have to go all the way back here to get a bounce to get here, right? So it's not very viable. Oh, I can't do it. Slam. And for some reason, slamming gets me. So I did a few tries. Just enough frames. Get this. So you wouldn't be able to do it probably with you'd have to wait till kelp forest when you unlock the spin. So it might only be useful to skip fry cooking. It might save like a minute if it even works the way I think it works. So there it is, I guess. So what you would do probably, you'd have to get the spin moving. You'd have to use the boxes to get buffed. You'd have to do this one frame trick, get a jelly slide, keep walking all the way, go out of bounds, and then you would just be able to get that. That should move the game, collect the game counter by 1. I think. But it's still cool. I'm gonna test that.
Discovering later one did not need buff, the final piece of this theory was finally solved. All the runner had to do was either slam or spin to successfully get the early completion of Jellyfish Fields.
Yes,
Spinning or slamming causes Spongebob to linger in the air for just enough time so he can get to the stat screen before he voids out from the death barrier. What prevented us from grabbing the happiness object before in Jaxler's big stream was that Spongebob died just before reaching the stat screen. One secret effect that grabbing the level ending happiness object out of bounds had is that Spongebob is allowed to skip future levels if that object is grabbed twice in the same level. Wurt was able to fill in the missing piece and completely transform speedrunning forever. Later that same day, ExoticSponge showed off a hammer clip that bypasses having to destroy all robots and walking out of bounds. Around the same time, Cornbread Snake, back then Cornbread Muffin, showed off a more beginner-friendly way to clip out further down the fence line. Because of Wurt's discovery, the any percent speedrun route was this. Do JFLSG to skip Jellyfish Fields, play through Kelp Forest because Kelp Forest is faster than doing JFLSG 4 times. And the reason why it needs to be done 4 times is to skip the downtown placeholder level. A similar situation to the Krusty Krab placeholder during Murmulair skip. Robo Patrick, since he's slightly faster than doing JFLSG twice, performed JFLSG twice to skip Fry Cook. From there, does Santa LSG, which has the same effect as JF, so if Murmulair skip didn't exist, we would just do Santa LSG many times. Murmulair skip up until the final boss. Needless to say, this skip shaved off well over 3 minutes of gameplay and was useful in all cargo except for any percent no LSG where the trick was not allowed. After that, the world record time would rapidly decline as runners compete against each other to get the best time possible with the help of the newly found JF LSG.
It doesn't matter. If I do the thing and finish the run, this is free world record. Wow, I clutched out 26! Do you think 23 is possible without the juke, or do you think we need the juke? There it is. 24:06. We might actually have to retime that. But there it is. There's a new world record.
At this point, ExoticSponge made his switch from Wii to the Xbox 360 and quickly showed off a new hammer clip in Kelp Forest named Red Coral. An easier and even faster way to consistently do kelp out of bounds on Xbox 360. Much later, CrashKoala found a slightly faster way with only having to take one hit. Not only faster than the left wall clip, but even faster than the Jack Juke, but still slightly slower than the Wii exclusive clip. Kelp Out of Bounds sure had its history with hammer boosting by Coel, the Jack Juke setup by Jaxler, Left Wall by Smileyshirt, the Wii exclusive by ExoticSponge, and then now the Red Coral found by ExoticSponge and optimized by Crash. What a complex history this is.
Come on. Yes, we got it! Yes! Woo! Yes! Yes! Yes!
Oh yeah, 2247. I take it, dude. That's all I wanted. It was a 2250.
Hey, we got it! Let's go! Nice! Yes, dude!
$22.44. Not bad.
With all that competition, SpongeBob Shoot the Square in the percent of 2020 ends with a final time of 22 minutes and 43 seconds by Jaxler and ExoticSponge, making this one the biggest years yet of Shoot the Square history. A all-new world record. On November 22nd, Exotic claimed a new NoLSG world record with a 42:48. Once again, a all-new world record. Bubble Bass, also known as Sam, has been a speedrunner of Shoot the Square since 2018. He was a variety speedrunner who ran games like Rogue Reaper and Adventure Time: The Secrets of Nameless Kingdom. It was now that load times, slight randomness began to matter greatly, with sometimes levels loading in slower than usual, losing 1 to 2 seconds per load, but believe me, with these upcoming grinds, those seconds will be critical. On May 5th, 2021, Sam was able to snatch the any percent world record set by Exotic and Jaxler with a 22:33, but this was only prep for what is coming up next. On July 11th, 2021, Jaxler's big dream finally came true, with SpongeBob Truth or Square finally make it onto the big stage at Summer Games Done Quick 2021 online, fulfilling a long-last dream. Jaxler, Bass, and Jakalaka as the commentator raised any percent to see who would finish the fastest. Both runners agreed to play through FryCook instead of doing JFLSG to reduce the repetitiveness of an already repetitive run.
Get ready. Time.
Let's go.
GG's, dude. That was a pretty close race, considering how bad my opening was.
Yeah, great job to both of you. Those were really great runs. Yeah.
On August of 2021, Jaxler reclaimed the world record with a 41.55 in
Yes! Yes! Yes!
With SpongeBob already on the roll this season, runners saw a milestone in sight: the sub 22 barrier. With new minor time savers and even a reroute that avoids the dialogue and a lot of the transversal of the hub, the sub 22 barrier was quickly becoming a reality.
Holy
In January of 2022, Jakalaka would once again reclaim the world record with a 22.11, but for Sam, that was not good enough.
You know what? Not a 22x, but we take those.
With a series of a few more additional attempts, CM would reclaim the world record back and continue to pursuit, breaking that last minute barrier.
I feel dizzy.
JF3 was by like point something. Let's go. Post the showers up.
On April 17th, 2022, Bass would break through and demolish the last minute barrier with a 21.57, a all new world record. Throughout the years, SpongeBob's Truth or Square speedrunning has gone a very long way since its release, but a few theories could make this game even faster. Instead of doing Eric Andre clip in Kelp Forest, there is a faster clip just before the Orange Shirley segment, which could cut off the entire hallway. Another theory is this Xbox 360 exclusive hammer clip, which brings SpongeBob inches from reaching these out of bounds happiest objects that, if collected, would skip all of FryCook. Also in FryCook, is there a potential way to go beyond these hills? Because that would cut off having to ride on these bus routes. Will you be the one to solve these theories? And even if you're not a speedrunning glitch hunting type, or want to try speedrunning out for the first time ever, Jaxler made a very beginner speedrun guide in 2021. This is a tutorial that is so basic that if you never speedrun any game before, this would be a fantastic place to start. The beginner route that the guide uses has a drastically calmer speedrun experience, but still includes all the fun you would see in many speedruns, including traveling out of bounds, clips through walls, level skip glitches, exploit an attack to gain massive height, and so on. Will you be the next one to continue the story of SpongeBob Shooter Square speedrunning?